With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs because truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
In a world where insanity reigns supreme and safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, it's comforting to know an ancient, fat, long-haired, bearded reprobate has your mind in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, and despite every attempt by the SHR Media Network to revoke his shameless contract, we return to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, and welcome to all of you for being here tonight. I have to say welcome to all my new viewers and listeners. Welcome to all the people that are coming over from Redcon 1 Media, courtesy of Big Sarge. Thanks to the truckers who have been sending me emails. I guess everybody somehow remembers my email, and I haven't given it out in quite some time. I don't get quite as many FNS words as I used to. I'll give it out here on the off chance that, I'm sure I'll get some more. BZ at shrmedia.com. BZ at shrmedia.com. Folks, you got a belly up to the bar. We've kept your seat, and it's great to see you back tonight. Dink is going to be your bartender. I got to tell you that he pours with the best of them. The lava lamp is, in fact, lighted to my left, your right. In the current iteration that I've got on the screen right here. There you go. Now you can see it. Right over there off to my left, your right. What that means is that you can watch the show on the SHR Media YouTube channel and also the Redcon 1 Media Facebook page and SHR Media Facebook page. And if you want to listen and engage in the chat room, go to shrmedia.com. It is Tuesday, April 23rd, the year of our Lord 2019. And I have to tell you, we don't water our politics. We don't water our drinks, just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law. We talk about it all right here at the saloon. Nothing is sacred. The speech is free, but the booze is not. All we ask is that you flush the toilet, jingle the handle. And tonight, especially, don't forget to tip your waitress. People have asked in the past, BZ, do you pay minimum wage or do you pay a living wage to the people that work in the saloon? And the easy answer to that is, I'm not going to answer that question. Senator, I'm going to be moving on. We have two very unique hours tonight. The first one is going to be involving Jeff DUNETZ, and as I have promoted, tonight we're going to be talking to Jeff about the prime topic, I believe, is going to be trying to understand what happened in Israel with regard to Benjamin Netanyahu. Because it would appear to me that he just was the recipient of something very extremely unique in Israel's history. He is a fifth-termer, about to be a fifth-termer, and he's going to gather that coagulation known as the Knesset together. And as a matter of fact, before I Bigfoot myself all over the place, let's just do the logical thing and see if we can get in contact with Jeff DUNETZ himself. So why talk about Jeff DUNETZ when I can actually have Jeff DUNETZ speak for himself? So let's see if we can do that. Now, historically, and maybe I'm doing bad things by talking about this, but historically, technology and I, with regard to phones, do not get along. But I think perhaps this time I may have Jeff DUNETZ on the line without having to go back 2 or 3 times. Jeff DUNETZ, are you there, sir?
You do? I like that guy.
I like that guy. I like that guy. That guy, Jeff DUNETZ. So I guess I have him on the line then.
He's my wife's favorite.
As well, he ought to be. Wait a minute. How come
after the kids?
How come my wife said you're her favorite too?
I doubt it.
Wait a minute. Are you bicoastal?
No.
Okay, good. And that's not I'm not saying that that's a euphemism either. So we've had Jeff DUNETZ on the show before. I have a great connection with Jeff. Jeff is a great guy. We've known each other since about 2004, 2005 when we had our blogs up and running. And I have never personally met Jeff because, as you get from that word bicoastal, he is way, 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 way over on the far right coast. And I am way, 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 way over on the far left coast of California, spelled with a K, where I broadcast behind enemy lines in occupied California. One day, perhaps we'll meet. One day.
Yes.
Perhaps. But in
right now, I actually am living in a box on a subway grate in Manhattan.
Okay. Is it, do you get charged per square foot by that? And do you have to pay taxes?
It's New York.
Oh, wait a minute. I have to ask you this question.
I pay taxes on breathing.
Okay, you should. It's like the Beatles' tax man. Little did we know that in 1962, the Beatles writing the song and singing the song Tax Man would describe basically the EU and the United States in 2019. How did we see that coming? And the answer is we didn't see that coming. So, Jeff...
It's because it's beautiful. They broke up too early.
I know. And how many people know who the Beatles are anyway?
They were in the group that Paul McCartney was in before Wings.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to the folks in chat. Welcome to Mike. Welcome to Dave. And welcome to 2 viewers. Thanks for being here, folks.
With New Year's resolutions, many of us will make a vow to eat healthier, and that's a good thing. But what about our beloved pets and their nutrition? Greetings, Naturopathic Dr. Dennis Black here, and I'm on a mission to provide better nutrition for cats and dogs because, truthfully, all pet food is dead food, which is why we created Rough Greens and Meow Greens in the first place. We bring their food back to life with live vitamins, minerals, probiotics, enzymes, omega oils, antioxidants, and so much more. All in a tasty formula that your dog and cat will love. You can improve your pet's coat, digestion, energy, and have less vet bills. Let 2025 bring a new year and a new pet. Get a Jumpstart trial bag, normally $20. Get a 100% discount with promo code BESTFRIEND. You just cover the shipping. Go to roughgreens.com, use promo code BESTFRIEND. Bring your pet's food back to life with Rough Greens. So good, your pet will ask for it by name.
And again, for the first hour, we're going to be talking to Jeff DUNETZ. He is, let's start at the start. Jeff, tell us your social media and your website and all the social media stuff that you want people to know so that they can read you and follow you.
Hey, BC, you're coming in and out.
Uh-oh. Okay. I can hear you just fine.
I hear you. You're kind of like going in and out. Anyway, you asked for my social media.
Yes, and your website where people can read you.
My website, number one, is lidblog.com, LIDBLOG.
Okay.
And I generally post anywhere from 3 to 5 times a day. I am on Twitter. I am Yid with Lid. And on Facebook, where am I? I am Jeffrey.DUNETZ.
Okay, because we had a discussion earlier today where apparently you have 2 Facebook entries, and I'm calling you.
You know what happened? That was flipping me out too, and I didn't realize it until you tested with the other one. That wait a second, why is he testing it here? It's a horrible world we spin, but what can I tell you?
That's true. It's true. Nothing succeeds like success, I've said. Nothing exceeds like excess, I've said.
And someday I will succeed, and I will let you know if that's true.
Okay. I want to tell people, I want to give some props to Jeff for having had, Jeff had a radio show, and I believe he's doing everything within his personal power to come back. Jeff used to be used to be on SHR. You were on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. on the Pacific time and 2 p.m. Eastern. And you have had some great, great people on your show. You've had Kurt Schlichter, you've had Ed Morrissey. Tell us some of the other people that you've had on your radio show in the past.
Oh, I've had Brigitte Gabriel. I've had, oh, God, who else have I had? I've had Congressman Lee Zeldin. I've had all over the place. Okay. And what happened is that I can't get the sound to work. And it has to do with the programs we use and having a Mac. So I have a friend who is actually trying to build me cheap a PC just that I could use for the radio show.
I think you're going to find, Jeff DUNETZ, that running your radio show off a PC is going to be infinitely easier for you than trying to run it through Apple. There's a lot more stuff for PCs out there for podcasts and streaming than there is for Apple stuff.
Plus, I bought all this equipment, but it won't work well if I use the Mac. It's incredible. I have a great mic and whatever. It will work eventually.
Okay, so folks,
I will be back.
He is coming back, and I have to prop him up because he broadcasts right here on SHR. We've got great hosts, and he is missed seriously every Wednesday, and I am looking forward to him being back. If for no other reason than Jeff has historically had me on his show a bunch of times too, which is where I have.
That's I really enjoy when you're on the show. That's
why I have you on the show now. Talking about the lidblog.com, there were 3 specific areas that I wanted to talk to you tonight about. One of them was, and I had to, oh gosh, folks, as you well know, I was gone for about a week and a half. And there was just a bunch of personal stuff going on that I've mostly triumphed over, although there are still some niggling little left dangling issues going on. But we had spoken about 2 weeks ago that I was going to have Jeff on a Tuesday, and then I had to cancel. I was going to have him on the next Tuesday, and then I had to cancel. And then I was going to have him on last Tuesday, and then I had to cancel. And finally, Jeff is here. So I want Jeff to talk about tonight about Netanyahu, about the amazing thing his reelection means. I wanted to have him talk about Netanyahu, Israel, and also about New York City. And we'll also get a little bit, if we have time, we'll get a little bit into some religion and whatnot. First, I want to continue to emphasize lidblog.com. That's where you go if you want to read Jeff's stuff, and Jeff writes wonderfully. As a matter of fact, I need to tell people this. You also used to write for Breitbart, too, did you not?
Yes, when Andrew was alive. Yep. I also used to write for, American Thinker. I've written all over the place. And mostly when I was in high school, I wrote on the bathroom walls. Does that count?
Sure, that does. Listen, if it's anything that can be put in your CV, then yes, you bet, it counts. Let's go back to the back. About, I think, 3 weeks now, it's been since Benjamin Netanyahu, there was an election in Israel.
It was on the 9th of April.
9th of April. And there was some apparent, now you tell me if I'm interpreting this properly or not. It seemed to me, by looking at some of the articles, that there was some concern as to whether or not Netanyahu was going to be elected, because apparently there are some scandals, air quotes, scandals going on with Netanyahu. I do not profess to be entirely up on what those, air quotes, scandals may be, so I had some concerns about Netanyahu because I have a very fervent belief in him. I believe that he's what Israel needs specifically right now. So maybe you can tell us, Jeff DUNETZ, a little bit about Netanyahu and in that election, what transpired leading up to the election.
The last election, he pulled it out at the last minute also. Okay. Interestingly enough, and until it was explained to me, it shocked the heck out of me. It was the millennial vote that helped Netanyahu win.
Really?
I like them apples. Oh, yeah. Well, because when you look at it, they've had one prime minister most of their lives, and it's been Netanyahu.
True. Okay, true. Good point.
Okay. But keep in mind also, it's not just, a lot of us look at, he's very harsh with the Palestinians, or they call it right wing. He's very protective of the country.
Yeah.
But that's not what the debate was about. The debate was about two things.
Okay.
Number one, the role of religion in the government.
All right.
Okay, because in Israel, the tradition is that the religious-oriented parties runs the Interior Department, the Education Department. And, for example, if you're Jewish, you can't get married in Israel unless you have an approval of an Orthodox rabbi.
Okay.
Okay. So things like that. Now, some of the secular parties were kind of saying that's a little bit much. But it's been that way for 70 years. Okay, so that was one issue. And the other one is economics. Benjamin Netanyahu, his Likud party, is a right-wing party, but not what everybody thinks right when they say right-wing. Okay? They think, he's a hawk when it comes to the Palestinians. No. He's cut the budget, tax refund, like a real right-wing party.
Okay.
Okay, and people don't get that. But in Israel, they get it. Okay, the parties that he was running with, the big surprise was the Labor Party.
Okay. Because
the Labor Party ran Israel for the first 45 years of her existence.
All right.
Okay. It began as a socialist party. and it's still far left. And they only got 6. Well, first, let me take a step back. There are 120 members in Knesset. That's their parliament. There has never been an election where one party got 61 votes, 61 seats. So every government in Israel has been a coalition government.
All right.
Okay. And you don't vote for, oh, gee, I want this guy to be prime minister, I want that guy. You get a list of parties, and you vote for the party. Okay?
Okay.
You don't have districts or anything else. It's just it's a list. And what happened was, if you look at it totally, is that the classic right-wing type parties, they actually increased the number of votes they had in the parliament. Okay? And the left wing had decreased. Okay? Israel is now, a center-right country, and it started out as a socialist country. And I think that's really cool.
Well, yes, I would agree. Wouldn't you agree with this? When one looks at a map of the Middle East, North Africa, the Middle East, etc., and you look at the size and scale, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, scale of Israel, surrounded as it is by the sea and by essentially enemy countries on every side you can think of, Israel is about, the size of what, like Maryland, something like that?
New Jersey,
okay. And yet...
Without the dumps.
Yeah, thank God. And yet, despite that, you mentioned the Labor Party, it has a sufficient number of people to keep folks employed. It actually has a manufacturing industry. It creates lots of products. It is a westernized country. It is a plugged-in country.
They are actually one of the biggest tech developing countries in the world.
Yes, it's highly
and
industrious.
You know who started that?
Who is that?
Netanyahu.
Okay.
When he was Minister of Finance.
But those things need to continue, just as if we need to continue on the path that Donald Trump has put us now, as opposed to Barack Hussein Obama. I'm going to ask you this. It's a very open-ended question, and actually it's a yes or no question, but I hope you take it and run. Isn't Netanyahu really the right guy at the right time to continue with the triumph and the wealth and the progress of the State of Israel?
Yes. Now, you would mention that the scandals surrounding him.
Okay.
In June, the equivalent of the Attorney General will announce whether or not he's going to bring charges against Netanyahu.
Okay.
If they bring charges, he's out. He doesn't have to be out, but I think people in his coalition will say, up yours and leave. Or,
okay.
Or we'll say, you out or we leave. And, we'll see what happens. You also keep in mind, it's amazing how many scandals there are surrounding Israel's leaders.
Okay, so at this point,
it's never like stealing like $1 million.
Okay, if you wouldn't mind going into it, because I'm going to throw up my hands in honesty and say I have no idea the nature of the alleged scandals regarding Netanyahu. So what is it that he's allegedly accused of?
One of them is allegedly accused of trying to bribe a TV network to give him better coverage.
Okay.
or at least trying to influence them.
Okay.
Whether or not it's true, I can't tell you. I haven't seen any of the evidence. But I don't think it's different than any other politician saying, hey, let me give you tickets to the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And beyond that, I don't know. Okay. You know, the prime minister, the last prime minister before Netanyahu, Lord Comover, Ehud Olmert, actually had to spend some time in jail.
Olmert.
Except he deserved it.
Okay.
So I don't know. Because, you know, they don't have a throw the person out of office impeachment. They have a, you know, we'll toss you in the pokey. And I don't know how serious the things are because I'm not familiar with the laws.
Okay.
Okay. To me, the last time I read through what they're working on, it seemed to me very minor.
Okay.
But you know, the other thing you have to know about Israeli politics, you think our politics are dirty?
Yeah, I do.
It's kindergarten compared to Israel.
Okay. All right. And A, why is that? And B, do you possibly have any examples?
Oh, they were calling each other traitors. I mean, it was horrible between him and the blue and white candidate, or the guy who was, you know, running the blue and white party at the time, and Benny Gantz, who used to be the chief of staff of the military. Now, that chief of staff is almost like the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for us.
Okay.
Runs the military, okay? And, I mean, they were like, oh, God, they were saying nasty things. And the funny thing is, it's Benjamin Netanyahu, who's called Bibi, and it's Benjamin Gantz, who's called Benny. So it's Benny versus Bibi.
Benny and Bibi.
Right?
Bibi and the Jets.
Right? But the thing is that, I mean, you know that old thing where people say, you know, you put two Jews in a room, you get 5 opinions?
I haven't heard that one, but I like it.
It's true. And it was especially, I mean, it's especially Israeli politics, and it's not just this election. It's dirty. It's nasty. And, you know, it has been for a long time.
We've got about 3 more minutes before the bottom of the hour break, and I am going to take that break. When I come back, I want to read an article. We're talking to Jeff DUNETZ, by the way, from lidblog.com. Lidblog.com. When I come back, I have an article from, of all places, the Irish Times, which talks about Netanyahu and a particular feat that he accomplished for Israel in terms of prime ministers, and I'm going to go over that article with Jeff. And then also, when we come back after the break, I want to go into sort of Israel in general, the future of Israel, and then we're gonna touch on New York because Jeff happens to live in the state of New York. Not New York City. We're going to talk about New York City because that's getting really stupid these days. And then we're going to touch briefly on some recent issues involving religion. I don't frequently speak about religion these days, just as I was not known for speaking about abortion. But I've been dragged kicking and screaming into supporting Donald Trump. I've been dragged kicking and screaming into supporting anything that has nothing to do with Planned Parenthood. Folks, if you want to get into that camp, watch Gosnell, the movie that I watched. Watch Unplanned. If you were on the fence about abortion, you won't be after watching those particular movies. And
Can you do me one favor?
What's that?
Good. During the break, Go to my site and read the top article.
No, okay. Actually,
Because talking about religion, it'll kind of segue into it.
Okay, because I see this one looks like it has something to do with HUD.
No, the top one.
Oh, wait. Okay, I had to refresh. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay, great. When we come back, we will get into that article. I refreshed, and now I see exactly what you're talking about. So, yes, we will. So, folks, we're going to take a break. We are talking to Jeff DUNETZ. Go to his blog. He updates it 3, 4, 5 times a day. He's a writing fiend and excellent writer, excellent insight. Go to lidblog.com, lidblog.com. And for those of you who just tuned in, I might suggest that you go to lidblog.com.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff DUNETZ. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff DUNETZ.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic concealed carry and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern. Only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thank you for listening to my show tonight. I am the Bloviating Zeppelin, and this is the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. 2 miles, count them, 2 miles east of the Bill Mill, the locus of evil on the entire left coast. That's the Capitol building at 10th and L Streets downtown, where late at night you can smell the stench, the odoriferous stench of sulfur, brimstone. You can hear the death of common sense nightly at 10th and L, the Capitol building in Sacramento, California. And I'm 2 miles east of there, which is a sad thing in and of itself. We are speaking to Jeff DUNETZ tonight at Lid Blog. He writes and owns lidblog.com. We're talking about the recent win by Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi Netanyahu. And I have an article from the Irish Times. The headline is this: Netanyahu wins 5th term in office as rival concedes. Now, this is back on April 10th, so his rival did, in fact, concede. Now, when they say that it's noteworthy that Netanyahu won a 5th term, Jeff DUNETZ, how noteworthy is that?
He is now the prime minister, will be the prime minister for the longest time in Israel history.
Wow. That's red. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't put you in this position, but offhand, do you happen to know of anybody who was close to serving or who served a fairly lengthy term as Israel's PM?
David Ben-Gurion, the first prime minister.
Ah, okay. Okay, so he must have had, what, 4?
Oh, I'm thinking of just years, but probably.
Oh, okay.
He was, I think he was a prime minister for 1948 until when he died.
Ah, okay.
Let's see. From 48 to 54, and then from 55 to 63.
Okay.
So I'm going down this. I guess through so it's the length of time, 48 to 63. So
okay. All righty.
I can't do, you didn't say there would be math.
Okay, that's a good point. There's also, I just discovered during the break, there was another incident that occurred that I was unfamiliar with, but I went spooking around in various Jewish newspaper sites, and I found this, which also came with an audio clip from Benjamin Netanyahu, and it has to do with the Golan Heights.
I'm here on the beautiful Golan Heights. All Israelis were deeply moved when President Trump made his historic decision to recognize Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. And therefore, after the Passover holiday, I intend to bring to the government a resolution calling for a new community on the Golan Heights named after President Donald J. Trump.
I found that rather amazing. So there's an article that I read, of all places, through the Daily Beast, that indicates Netanyahu wants to name the Golan Heights town after Trump. And so I have to...
new Golan Heights town.
Yes. So I have to ask you, Jeff DUNETZ, Okay, how many people did that piss off in Israel?
Oh, I think more here than in Israel. I don't think it would be pissed off that many people in Israel. In Israel, they really appreciate everything that Trump has done for them. Okay. Personally, and I'm a big supporter of the president.
Right.
But he wouldn't have been the first person that I would name a town after.
Yeah.
The first person I would name a town after is a gentleman by the name of Eli Cohen.
Okay, why is that?
Well, he was a spy who basically lost his life in Syria, but if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have won the Golan Heights so much easy. But the Syrian army was really stupid. He was a spy, and he was like he became one of the top people in Syria and an advisor to the Syrian army. And when he visited the Golan Heights and saw all their bunkers, he said to the military, it gets really hot here. You should plant eucalyptus trees because they have a big cover and they grow fast by the bunkers, so they'll have some shade. And what he told the Israeli Air Force to do is, if you ever have to bomb the Golan Heights, aim for the eucalyptus trees.
Okay.
And that's why it was so easy for them to win to defeat them in the Golan Heights. But 2 years before the 6-Day War, they caught him, and he was hung. And actually, they haven't returned his body yet. There was a rumor 2 weeks ago that they were going to, but they haven't. And I think that the first person that should get a town named after them, my humble opinion,
okay,
should be Cohen. But look, I'm not a resident of Israel, so I can't tell them what to do.
You made an interesting point, and we've talked about this before. I'm on a new network. There are some people who have not heard you, and I did a whole bunch of social media for the show tonight for the folks at Redcon 1 to come over and listen to you tonight. And I've asked you this question: why is it that American Jews seem to move so far left? Your last statement about 2 minutes ago was it upset more people in America than it upset people in Israel. I discovered an article today that raises, again to me, and I'm going to read it to you and ask for your input. I don't get what's happening with American Jews, particularly in the Northeast, and that's where essentially this article comes from. This is from a strange place called mintpressnews.com. It's an opinion by, and I don't know if you've heard this organization, but it was written by something called JewsWithIlhan.org. The headline is an open letter.
Oh, that's just any organization that's called that is not a real Jewish organization. They're a political organization.
Okay. All right. It says an open letter. And the reason I want to read this is because I want to see if there's any credibility here at all. It says an open letter. And it's very obvious, very pronounced. We are Jews who stand with Representative Ilhan Omar. First, at the very beginning, I don't get that at all. The headline to that is, as Jews with a long tradition of social justice and anti-racism, AIPAC does not represent us. And then they wrote, #we stand with Ilhan. And for those who are in, I don't know, you've been in a bunker for the past year or so, that's a reference to Ilhan Omar, one of the three new hot chicks on the left in the Democrat Party. Ilhan Omar is a Muslim from Minnesota. The article, the first paragraph of this article. It says, "We are Jews who stand with Representative Ilhan Omar. She's been falsely," listen to this, Jeff, "she's been falsely accused of anti-Semitism since tweeting that GOP threats against her and Representative Rashida Tlaib for criticizing Israel were all about the Benjamins, baby." When asked to clarify who is paying members of Congress, quote, to be pro-Israel, Omar replied, AIPAC. Now, the question is that any kind of a valid viewpoint from, is it a predominant viewpoint of Jews in the Northeast or even in the United States? And number two, the premise that they're assuming is first and foremost entirely false. I cannot see any other conclusion to draw except she is a foaming anti-Semite and keeps proving it week by week, month by month, historically, by the things she's said in the past, saying now, and the trends indicating that she's going to continue to say. How can people who say that they're Jews, don't even know that for a fact, Jeff DUNETZ, how can they stand behind Ilhan Omar? I don't get it.
I don't either, okay? First of all, she was called an anti-Semite because she backed something called the BDS movement, okay, which basically is treat Israel the way you used to treat South Africa, okay? The BDS movement is, if you take a look at what the State Department calls anti-Semitism, okay, and what Pope calls anti-Semitism is anti-Semitic. Why? Because at its ultimate goal is to make sure that the Jews don't have a nation. And so, you know, if you say that the Jews don't have a right to self-determination, then you're being anti-Semitic. Okay?
Okay.
There's a whole lot of other things. I mean, but the other thing is that, first of all, AIPAC doesn't give money to candidates. None. Okay? That's like zero.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, AIPAC's big thing, and I've been involved with this on the other side, is they don't want one party to be more pro-Israel than the other, because they want everything to be the same. So Israel doesn't become a wedge issue.
Okay, you mentioned that, and I'm glad you went there, because I want to talk to you about this next paragraph that's in the article. You just went over this. This is the second paragraph. There is absolutely nothing anti-Semitic about calling out the noxious role of AIPAC, which is the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, they say in this article, which spends millions each year to buy U.S. political support for Israeli aggression and militarism against the Palestinian people, as the New York City chapter of Jewish Voice for Peace summed up, accurately describing how the Israel lobby works in this country is not anti-Semitic. The never-ending smear campaign against Ilhan Omar is racism and Islamophobia in action.
Well, let me... Anything the Jewish Voice for JVP says, they were named by the ADL, which is a left-wing organization, the Anti-Defamation League.
Okay.
They were named as one of the top 10 anti-Semitic organizations in the country.
Which
I like that.
Which is, if that doesn't blow your mind and stagger your brain, I don't know what does.
Now, let me bring up the other thing that she says, that she pushed the dual loyalty thing, that Jews, aren't totally loyal to the United States. They are loyal to the United States and Israel.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I never fought in the military. My father did. My father-in-law did. Actually, my father-in-law always makes fun because he was a quartermaster in World War II, and he spent his days, he said, sending out aspirins and condoms. But seriously, the whole reason why I do this blogging thing is because I love this freaking country.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I am not dually loyal. I am loyal to this country. Okay? I certainly, my number 2 country in the whole world is Israel. Because that country, because of my faith, was given to me by God. And you know what? How come they never said, for example, all those years where the Cubans didn't let us talk to Castro?
Right.
Why didn't they ever say the Cubans had a dual loyalty?
True.
Or any of those other groups. Come on. And I'm not saying they do, okay? The interesting part is, now, we're in the middle of Passover, right?
Right.
The whole dual loyalty thing started with enslaving the Jews at Passover time. Because for those who are familiar with the first chapter of Exodus, okay, it says to the Pharaoh says, "Hey, let's watch out for these people because if we get attacked, they may join up with the other side because they're not loyal to us." I mean, it's nicer in the biblical terms, but that's basically what it says. Okay? So we've been fighting that for, 3,500 years, 4,000 years?
Yeah, a bit.
Okay. Okay. And it's probably, Hitler used that one. I mean, it's just not true.
Jeff, I have to ask you this again. We got about 10 more minutes. I have to ask you this again because people in chat were asking. And we went over this, and I hope you don't mind answering the question again because this is a new bunch of people who may be hearing you for the first time. Whiskey Dale in chat asked, and I'm sure a lot of people, some of the new listeners were at least thinking, maybe not writing this down, as I asked you before. Whiskey Dale said, "Never ever have I figured out why the Jews vote Democrat." And he didn't say this, but I'm asking. I'm thinking Whiskey Dale is primarily thinking of mostly the U.S. Northeast in that general area around New York. Or is it endemic throughout the United States?
It's the more observant, the more Orthodox Jews tend to be more conservative.
Okay.
Okay. And the Reform and conservative Jews tend to be more liberal. And part of the reason is you got to stand something. Okay. Until what's his name from the New Republic, from the National Review. Come on, Buckley. Until Buckley threw out the anti-Semites out of the conservative movement. Okay, the conservative movement was a very anti-Semitic movement. Okay, and even today we have people like Pat Buchanan throwing their face in. Okay, so that was part of it. Okay, another part of it is that the people don't understand that there's a difference between guaranteeing a safety net
Okay.
and the personal responsibility of giving charity. Because, you know, if you go through any Jewish holiday, I mean, the first 10 rules of the holiday is you have to give charity. And people think that if the government is helping out the poor, I don't have to. But you know what? It's a personal responsibility. And they forget that. And I think that's part of it also. And by the way, Alaskan, don't worry, this isn't a Jewish group. Don't worry. Anyway, but, you know, the other reason is Bush 41. Because Jewish vote used to be around 40, 45% Republican. I mean, it was more Democrat, but it wasn't. And when Bush 41's Secretary of State, Baker.
Oh, James Baker,
said,
right.
Yeah, F the Jews, they won't vote for us anyway, and things like that. Well, it went from 45% to 11%.
Okay.
And it hasn't caught up since.
Perfectly understandable then. Now something like that, placed in that kind of context, can make some more sense. I've got two more articles that I want to go to, and I might have to be kind of zippy about this because we've only got about 5 minutes left. I found another article. This is from the Jewish Journal. The headline of this is Wiesenthal, God, BZ, pronounce it properly, Wiesenthal Center. It's
right.
grotesque.
Of tolerance. Yeah.
It's grotesque for Omar and the New York Times to say Jesus was a Palestinian. Rabbi Abraham Cooper, Associate and Director of Global Social Action Agenda.
It's not grotesque. It's stupid and displays no knowledge of history.
Yeah. In
the year 135, okay, a Jewish leader named Bar Kokhba tried to throw the Romans out. Okay, not only did the Romans win, as they usually do, but they wanted to really get back at the Jews. So they took the name of their country, Judea, which is where Jews come from, by the way.
Yes.
Jews, Judea. And they renamed it Syria Palestina. Okay. There was nothing called Palestine when Jesus was alive. So he couldn't have been a Palestinian.
Yeah.
Also, until the creation of Israel in 1948, the Jews living there and the Arabs living there, and heck, the Christians also, were all called Palestinians. So, I mean, it's just stupid because it's a no knowledge of history.
But it's also, Jeff DUNETZ, a clear indicator of what it is that people, in other words, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, these two chicks have learned and are learning very well about how to handle themselves in terms of being Democrats. If you continue to say things that have no basis in factual historical accuracy, you're still going to get a percentile of people who want to believe they will believe, which is why...
Well, let me just tell you two things.
Okay.
Number one, overall, the Democratic Party, it feels the same way as she does. Okay, because
I believe you.
It's anti-Semitic.
I believe you.
But we're talking about a woman who in 2017 called the soldiers that died during the
Black Hawk Down.
What do you call it? What?
During Black Hawk Down?
Yes.
In Somalia? Mogadishu?
Right. Yeah. She called them like Satan.
Yes. She did.
Okay? So, come on. And how can somebody actually be a quote-unquote leader of this country? Forget the leader. How can you live in this country and not appreciate these people who sacrificed to save your ass?
That's a question for a longer day, another day.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that this woman is crazy. She doesn't care.
Yes, yes. Someday, and here's what I want to do, Jeff Dunetz, off the air. Someday I'd like to give you a call, and I'd like to talk to you about your feelings with regard to Islam. You and I have not plumbed this topic, so to speak, with regard to Jews and Islam. There are a ton of things I could have gone over tonight. There are so many more articles to go on.
What I tell my children?
What's that?
There's only one reason, really, to hate all Arabs.
Okay.
They invented algebra.
Okay. All right.
Other than that, like people of every faith, there are good ones and there are lousy ones. You know, when people went off to the Crusades, before they left, they killed all the Jews in the town. So, we were, when we went into then Canaan, we killed all the the Canaanites in a town. Okay, they're good people and bad people of all faiths, and besides algebra, which I think is a legitimate reason, to be honest.
Oh hell yeah, yeah. I never excelled at that at all.
Okay, and if they did trigonometry too, then they're really bad, but they didn't. You know, I'm a kind of person who evaluates people based on the individual.
Right.
And you know what? That's the conservative way. Because it's the liberals who say put people in groups. We look at people as individuals. But I'd love to talk to you at any time, at anything. You know that.
Okay. Number one, I'm pulling for you, sir, because I really want to hear your show back on the air. I think you fill a gap in SHR that is absolutely essential. And I'm not just saying that because I like you, because obviously I do like you. But I think you need to come back. You have a voice that is not just necessary, but I think it's critical to SHR. So I will support you in any way that I possibly can to help
Thank
you
sir.
enable.
And you always have.
To enable that goal, because you need to be back on the air. The second thing is, before we go away, because I want to continually emphasize this, because it's such an active site and it's such a good site. Tell folks where you can be read, please. Your page in the internet wilderness.
Lidblog, LIDBLOG.com.
Okay.
And I got 4 up today, and 5 were up yesterday. I like to write.
Yes, you do. You are very active.
I like to feed my readers.
Yep. And so, once again, I want to emphasize, folks, when you go to lidblog.com, it's not like my blog. Since January, I have not felt the onus to write a new post every day, and I'll be the first to admit that I have been way too lazy. I need to get back on that. But not
but you're doing it on radio.
Not so for Lidblog. Lidblog is an active blog. You need to go there every day, pick up the newest information, and get some great insight and opinions from Jeff Dunetz. So, Jeff Dunetz, thank you ever so kindly for being here tonight. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, BZ.
And we're going to have you back again. We're going to take a break.
I hope so. You're a good person and a good friend, and I like that.
Thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate it. We'll be right back after this.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff DUNETZ. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff DUNETZ.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic, concealed carry, and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here from the SHR Media Network. I'm sorry, the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media Network, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, 2 miles east of the locus of evil on the entire left coast, the Bill Mill, the Capitol at 10th and L Street, the Capitol building of Sacramento, Fornicalia, right here, where as I leave through that door tonight in a little bit less than an hour, It'll be a little after 10 o'clock Pacific time when I leave that, and I'll open the door and I'll be able to hear the sounds of the death of common sense screaming plaintively from that building at 10th and L. And I'll also be able to smell the terrible odoriferous stench of evil, of brimstone and sulfur emanating from that building when it's occupied by its Mephistophelian occupants, who there may be a few right now, but probably there aren't any because they're politicians and they all go home at 4 o'clock anyway. So thanks for listening to me tonight. This is the second hour of the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. And I had Jeff DUNETZ on the first hour. Thanks again to Jeff, particularly because Jeff lives on the far right coast. And it is about 12:09 right now where he is. Very, very late. I keep him up to midnight, and I'm sure his wife is probably not too happy with that. Jeff, why do you stay up so late? Michelangelo, when will you make an end? I'm sure his wife always asks him. So thanks to Jeff. Thanks to everybody in chat. Dave, Mike, Right Wing Aviator showed up tonight. Great to see you. The Alaskan, Whiskey Dale was here. Dave Milner, the Unpleasant Blind Guy, one each. Thanks to you. Thanks to the American Truckers for listening. Thanks to the folks at Redcon 1 for having me on their air so that I'm simulcasting. To the folks that... at Redcon 1, you want to come over and chat. I can't occupy all the chat rooms that I stream to. But if you want to come, I ask everyone, one and all, go to shrmedia.com, quick like a bunny. You'll see where it says live and chat. Click on that. There I am. I'm looking at the chat right there. Mike is asking in chat, any happy stories? I don't have any happy stories for tonight. Not to say that there aren't any. I do have them collected right here in about 50 tabs on top of my laptop. But there's so much other news that I want to go into that I'll probably have happy stories on Thursday because I've got a backlog of happy stories. For those who are interested, there will be a chat show tomorrow night. Mike has asked, how is Clint's nose? It has gone through a very serious healing process, which, as you might expect, is lengthy. So Clint will be here tomorrow night. You will be able to see the results. And I think that I'm hoping that people will not be shocked because you will be able to grok his visage and see how his nose has been affected, and it has been affected. So tomorrow night, same bat time, same bat channel, shrmedia.com. Watch it live on the Redcon 1 Media Facebook page, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Also on the SHR Media YouTube channel, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. And the SHR Media Facebook page, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. The Chat Show, Sackheads Against Tyranny. Tomorrow night, Sackheads Clint will be here. I'm negotiating right now with a certain third individual to see if we may have a third individual here for the chat show tomorrow night. No promises, no amends, just hoping and crossing my little phalanges, carpals and metacarpals, tarsals and metatarsals. Hey, show of hands right now, who wouldn't absolutely die to hear Nicolas Cage sing Purple Rain? Anybody?
Let me purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. Woo! Purple rain, purple rain.
Yeah, that was great. But you want to know what else is great? I saw this. I first laughed at this. I wish I could show you the video, because I'm going to play it for you. It's a video with great audio, but a good portion of it is seeing the video itself. Because what we have here is I'm not going to call her AOC anymore. I'll either call her Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or I'm going to call her OAC, unapproved credit. So if you want to hear this, this is a brilliant little OAC impersonator that, I mean, this little kid went viral. I don't know who sat her down. I don't know who wrote the script for her. I don't know who dressed her up. I don't know who found those glasses for her. But this video is great. And I'll tell you what, you're going to get something out of it just from the audio. So this is 1 minute and 14 seconds of OAC. Except it's not exactly OAC.
Like, I'm Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a.k.a. AOC. And, like, I want to talk about, like, climate change. Because, like, there's no doubt cow farts are making the climate change. Like, in July, the climate was 96 degrees. And in February, the climate was 36 degrees. OMG. Like, that's a huge change in the climate in only 4 months. Like, at this rate, the world is going to end in exactly 12 years. And, like, I'm only 29 years old now. So the world will be over when I'm only...
She's counting on her fingers.
37 years old. Like, I also want to talk about socialism, because socialism is so amazing. Like, socialism is actually short for social media. Did you know that? Like, I use social media, so I'm a socialist. And, like, 3 of the most successful countries in the world are socialist too. Venezuela, Facebook, and Twitter are all very successful socialist countries. I have a lot of friends who moved to America from Facebook.
Okay. All right, now I think you understand why I had to play that. Yeah. Okay, I would play that again. I bookmarked that. I'm going to have to try to find it in YouTube so I can keep it, because bookmarking Twitter is a little difficult. But whoever wrote that kid's script and whoever got her to sit down and say that, I don't know, that was fairly convincing. Look at all the people in chat. Again, Mike, Dave, Right Wing Aviator, High Plains Pundit, welcome, Dan. Jack Alexander, welcome to you, sir. You appear to be new, so welcome. Great to see you here. The Alaskan Right Wing Aviator and one viewer. Thanks for being here tonight. Now, I have some other audio cuts, and I have some other stories, and there is no time tonight for happy stories. I am known for doing happy stories because... despite what you would think, there are really some honest-to-God happy things, some good things that are going out in the world. But with all the news that's backed up, I really don't have time to do that tonight. I'm going to do happy stories on Thursday night. I might be able to get Dr. Jones back in to talk more about the Constitution in the first hour. So I'm trying to figure out if I can get Dr. Jones back. But in the first hour and or in the second hour, how things unfold, there will be happy stories. So fear not, we will have some happy stories. This, however, bears repeating, because when, let's see, Christians were having cathedrals burned, and when Christians were being killed and slaughtered, CNN happened to talk about nothing but essentially
breaking news.
A bombshell.
Today is a turning point. Today was historically bad for President Trump.
Today was a turning point.
A turning point.
We're at a turning point here.
The beginning of the end for the Trump presidency.
We have another bombshell.
Mike Pence might have to assume the office of the presidency.
Rumblings of the word impeachment.
Breaking news.
Another bombshell out of the White House.
I believe this is the beginning of the end.
I do too.
It's really the beginning of the end.
Yeah. Maybe feeling the walls closing in on him.
All the walls closing in on him. The walls closing in on him.
Breaking news, a new bombshell.
One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end for President Donald Trump.
Trump will resign.
Trump is going to resign.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over.
You think this is a tipping point?
And over and over.
This is a tipping point.
And over and over.
Breaking news, President Trump off the rails.
It was the beginning of the end today.
Yeah. The beginning of the end.
Breaking news tonight, new bombshell. This is the beginning, not the end.
The beginning of the end.
The walls are closing in.
The walls closing in.
The walls closing in.
Breaking overnight bombshell.
This is a very dramatic day, and I think it might be near a tipping point. Do you think this is a tipping point?
December 1st, 2017, you can mark it down. This is the day that everything changed.
The beginning of the end?
Beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The
beginning of the...
We begin tonight with the bombshell.
Donald Trump is in a lot of trouble.
Trump is in trouble.
The president will resign.
Another hour, another bombshell.
This is a tipping point.
Trump's going down.
This president could be impeached.
Resignation.
I don't think this president is going to serve out his term. Mr. Trump will not serve out his term.
He will not serve out his term.
No way. No how.
Breaking news.
Absolutely.
Yeah, by the way, that was the creepy porn lawyer talking there.
Donald Trump is not. He's done. And it's over. It's over.
The wall's closing in.
The wall's closing in.
This is going to be the Achilles heel.
Breaking news tonight.
I expect Trump to depart.
This week will be the watershed week.
Trump is in big trouble.
Trump's in a lot of trouble.
It's a sign of a terrified old man who feels the
walls
closing in.
The walls
are increasingly
Closing in on him.
tonight. The walls
closing in.
today changed everything. This is the beginning
Of the end.
today, the biggest
Tipping point for the Trump administration.
What a historic day. The bombshells.
He's underwater. He feels
the walls closing in. Turning.
God, it's like, okay, when does it stop? Well, if you're CNN, it never stops, does it? And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that after the Mueller report came out that Monday, Rachel Madcow's ratings absolutely plummeted. They went into the tank, and then somehow they found the bottom of the tank, and they found the downspout. They cut a hole in the tank, and the ratings went even lower than that.
To achieving the goal before this decade is out.
So now I've got some news stories for you. You could say that it's good news, but I'd have to quantify this as this is the truth finally beginning to emerge.
It will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I will build a great wall. Stand by for news.
This is Representative Jim Jordan. You want to go back and find out how all this fake Russian collusion bullshit started? The start of all of this basically impacts everything, and this is Jim Jordan.
So why do you care about one and not the other? It start because you have to go back to the beginning. If something starts on a false foundation, that is a problem. Remember, in May of 17, when Jim Comey gets fired, we deposed Jim Comey. He told us at the time, when he was fired, they had zero evidence. And they've been looking at this for almost a year. Zero evidence of any type of coordination, collusion, conspiracy between the Trump campaign and Russia to impact the election.
By the way, I should tell you, this is Jim Jordan on CNN.
But what did Jim Comey do when he got fired? He leaked memos that he wrote to the New York Times for what? To manufacture the need for a special counsel. That's what we have to go back and look. And it was all based on But why what? can't you do This both? false- I this am not false rejecting premise. your premise. I am not arguing back at you about Comey. Because I'm not, but I'm because saying the this start other stuff impacts- matters also. Because, Chris, the start impacts everything else. You want to know why the I know, president but was you're so not upset? being Because he fair to didn't what do the start anything was. wrong. He didn't do it. The start was completely false, completely built on this false premise, and we know-
Okay, stop right there just for a second. The start that I think Jim Jordan is attempting to illustrate, this is Jake Tapper, by the way, is the dossier and acquiring the warrant through the FISA court. That is the true start of it all. Now, we're going to finish this audio cut. It's only about a minute or so. And then I'm going to tell you what I think Jim Jordan really meant. And I'm going to give you the technical, it's not that technical, the legal term for that and why it, when Jim Jordan says that the start is critical, oh yes, it's absolutely critical.
No, you can say they didn't do anything illegal, and I think it's an important distinction. Chris, here's what happened here. Please. Go clear back to January of 2017 when it's President-elect Trump. Chuck Schumer is on one of the Sunday shows, and he says this. Now, remember, this is Chuck Schumer, the top Democrat in the United States Congress at the time. He says, when you mess with the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you.
Yes.
That is exactly what happened. And that's why what Bill Barr said last week when he said he's going to go back to the beginning, look at this spying that took place, and get answers is so important because it is never supposed to work this way.
Not at all. And when Bill Barr said that, tons of sphincters slammed shut when he said the one thing that Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots were hoping that he never said. Now, what am I referring to? I'm referring to, and I've said this for over a year, almost 2 years now. It's a legal phrase called the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, and this is why the Democrats, leftists, and the American media maggots cannot possibly countenance unveiling and unearthing more information, particularly with regard to the warrant affidavit that was submitted to the FISA court. The fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, if it's unearthed, if that affidavit is proven to be bad, then everything from that bad, flawed affidavit predicated upon the bad, flawed dossier purchased by Hillary Clinton, purchased by the DNC, and also co-purchased by the FBI and used to fool a judge or a series of judges on the FISA court. If that's found to be false, then the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine essentially says everything stemming from that one incident, the affidavit, the warrant acquired for surveillance, and anyone surveilled, and anywhere you went after that, none of it is admissible, which means that everyone and everything that Mueller happened to do after that, the FBI, the DOJ, the State Department, CIA, NSA, none of it is admissible. None. Zip. Zero. The null set. You would have to basically pull out Flynn, Manafort, Cohen, Stephanopoulos, Carter Page. Nothing really happened to him. And anywhere that you're planning to go in the future, if it's predicated but upon that warrant, which was acquired falsely from a FISA court, everything following that is inadmissible and therefore not pertinent, and any people, incidents, property, evidence, direct or non-direct, has to be removed and thrown out. And that is why what Jim Jordan said about the start of this is so critical. It's the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine. Some people have mentioned this. I want to continue to mention it to you. This is the one place I am guaranteeing you leftists, Democrats, and the American media maggots do not want this investigation to go. So when William Barr, the Attorney General, said, yes, he is going to look into that warrant, and he said, well, I'm not convinced that it wasn't predicated and acquired lawfully. But I get to ask the question, and I get to find out. And I want to see what's in that application. I want to see what's in that warrant. Now, we know these things are going to get, a lot of things are going to get redacted. Someone somewhere knows everything about this. And here is what the leftist Democrats and American media maggots cannot afford. You and I, as thinking individuals, vertical bipeds, we know already, we intuit that all of this leads to the Oval Office in the prior presidency, in number 44. We know it leads to him and his circle of friends in the Oval Office who have paid no price yet for this. I have 3 more minutes. I may get to some of this. This was an exquisite audio cut that today came out with, I think, Martha McCallum and Rush Limbaugh. And it was absolutely, it was an incredible view, an incredible amount of insight. And finally, people are starting to talk like this. people are starting to they're starting to craft the right words and the right sentences, and they're starting to tell the truth. Tip of the iceberg. There's so much below the waterline, but day by day, week by week, it's becoming more exposed. I'm going to start this audio cut. I'm going to have to cut for a break. We'll be back to finish it up. Check this out.
Hillary Clinton demanding at Trump. You talk about sour grapes. This is a woman who's been rejected by the American people twice, rejected by her party in 2008. She had to rig the primaries against crazy Bernie in 2016 to get the nomination. She is the last person who ought to be listened to about what ought to happen to Donald Trump. She hasn't accomplished anything anywhere near what Donald Trump has accomplished. She is in no position here to sit here and say what she saw in the Mueller. Well, she can say it. She's an American.
Yes.
But she doesn't have any credibility on any of this as far as I am concerned, and I'm not alone there.
Jared Kushner also spoke at the conference today, and I know you talked about this today. Here he is talking about how much the Russians actually did on Facebook. Yeah, let's play that.
I think the investigations and all of the speculation that's happened for the last 2 years has had a much harsher impact on our democracy than a couple of Facebook ads. I mean, I think they said they spent about $160,000. I spent $160,000 on Facebook every 3 hours during the campaign. So, if you look at the magnitude of what they did and what they accomplished, I think the ensuing investigations have been way more harmful.
Very interesting to hear from him today on that and a lot of other things, Rush.
Well, here's the thing. He's right. Martha, everybody, America, please, there was never any evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia. The collusion, as I said, was Hillary, the DNC, and the Russians via Steele. But the Russians, when Mueller announced the indictments of the Russian troll farm, it was Rosenstein who went out and announced them. And nobody paid any attention to this, but he said at the end of the announcement, nothing in these indictments suggests a single vote was changed. Nothing suggests the outcome of any election was changed. No American is named in the indictment having to do with it. Martha, there was never any evidence for this.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the American media maggots conveniently, completely, purposefully ignore that. We're going to finish that. You're listening, when we come back after the break, you're listening to myself. I am the Bloviating Zeppelin, live and direct from the SHR Media Studios. You are in the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon and his radio show. Come right back.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff DUNETZ. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff DUNETZ.
Hey girls, Carry Girl Gear is here. More and more women every day are concealed carrying, participating in competitive shooting, and getting firearms training. It's not a boys' club anymore, and we don't have to shop in their stores anymore either. Finally, a cool and unique clothing line just for women. Dope tees and hats for the patriotic, concealed carry, and 2A girl. So what are you waiting for? Go check out carrygirlgear.com today.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
For 50 years, I've seen the American people blinded by corrupt politicians, a lapdog media, and deceptive Islam. The one thing the elites fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through Spreaker, iTunes, and SoundCloud, through SHR Media and the Western Free Radio Network, for half a century of experienced perspective on political and social issues, weekly on The Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capitol, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the final 25 minutes of the Berserk Bobcat Saloon on SHR Media, shrmedia.com. That's where the chat room is. Welcome to Jack Alexander, who stepped into the chat room. Great to see you here, sir. I hope you come back. Got a lot of people in the chat room, to still include Alaskan right-wing aviator Jack, Dave Milner, right-wing aviator, and one viewer who is masked. But what we don't do in the chat room is we don't unmask people here like prior administrations did. I was playing before the break an audio cut with Rush Limbaugh and Martha McCallum talking about the temerity of, the foolish temerity of Hillary Rodham Clinton.
There was never any evidence of collusion between Trump and Russia. The collusion, as I said, was Hillary, the DNC, and the Russians via Steele. But the Russians, when Mueller announced the indictments of the Russian troll farm, it was Rosenstein who went out and announced them. And nobody paid any attention to this, but he said at the end of the announcement, nothing in these indictments suggests a single vote was changed. Nothing suggests the outcome of any election was changed. No American is named in the indictment having to do with it. Martha, there was never any evidence for this.
Yes.
There was never. Mueller never. When he got the file from Comey, it was empty. All they had was the dossier, and we all know that it was made up. It was opposition research. This was not even an investigation of Trump. What it was an attempt to overthrow the 2016 elections. And the Mueller investigation, I believe, was actually many things, including a cover-up and a distraction to keep people from understanding what really happened. Donald Trump accomplished one of the greatest achievements of his life against all odds with no assistance. His own party wasn't even that much behind him.
Have you ever seen, folks, as much force arrayed against a president as has been arrayed against Donald John Trump? All of the Democrats, some libertarians, Certainly, almost everyone in the American media maggot side, there are way too many, altogether way too many of those people on the Fox News network. Who the hell knows where Fox News is going these days? When I come back next week, I'll have some insight and a large opinion regarding the Notre Dame Cathedral and how Islam plays into that as well, because I've been doing a lot of digging into that. The counterintelligence agencies of the United States of America, almost all of them, except perhaps maybe the DIA, and I think that's for whatever reason they didn't get that memo, although I'm sure they wanted to, was all arrayed against Donald John Trump, and he's still here.
He's done something that few Americans will ever do, and they're trying to take it away from him, and they're trying to sully his reputation simply because they don't like him. This is a sordid situation. I think our country was at great risk.
That's the OMB effect. That's what I call it. I came out with a meme. I just haven't put it out yet. The OMB effect. Orange man bad. That's all they have is orange man bad.
During this whole thing, and there needs to be an investigation. I hope the Attorney General's serious, because these people need to be investigated. We need to be told who they are, what they did.
Listen to this. Listen to what's coming, though. This is grand.
Even though we already know.
Yes.
And they need to be indicted.
The people as you say, the Attorney General is on it.
Because they came close, Martha, to throwing away the United States Constitution. Unelected people came close to actually pulling off what is a coup.
What did I say? Everybody that's been listening to this show for the past 2 years, what have I been saying? Have I not been saying? And now all the people seem to be rallying around the fat guy, the fat ancient dude here, BZ. This was a soft coup against basically a citizen, a civilian, could be me, could be you, but a person who started off as a citizen, then became a presidential nominee, then became the president-elect, then became a sitting president. This was a soft coup against him. Orange man bad. But remember this. This is the most pertinent aspect of it all, under the aegis of Orange man bad. Yeah, they're aiming all their cannons at him, but they're actually aiming all of their cannons at you and me, what Kurt Schlichter calls the militant normals.
And it should never, ever happen again. The American people, some of them who watch CNN, don't know it. And the New York Times is even trying to back off the dossier. And I said, well, maybe it was Russian disinformation. No kidding, Russian disinformation. They've known that for a year and a half. Everybody in the media has known that they have been lying to the American people about this in an effort to get rid of Trump, and he survived it. And if they think they're going to take him out after all of this, they are delusional.
As you say, the New York Times is now looking into the dossier. They say that Mr. Steele's Russian informants could have been pressured to feed him disinformation, which is something that we reported some time ago. But they're just getting into
collusion.
That idea.
Steele,
but hold on.
Russian who's working with Russians? Steele, Hillary's guy. They're working with the Russians.
Absolutely.
Now, the Russians may have just... Bob Woodward, I said the other day that we need to get to the bottom of it. He's trying to link the dossier to Putin, not Hillary. The dossier traces right back to Hillary and her campaign in the DNC.
Yeah, come on. That's true. Isn't all of that true? Well, of course it is. Well, what did I say? I said I've got a lot of news, and I've got a lot of stories. Here's another cut that you need to hear. This is Laura Ingraham and Devin Nunes. It's astounding. This is still astounding to think that there is a guy like Devin Nunes who's actually in California. One of the biggest quotes out of this that I want you to hear Devin Nunes say is, just like Jim Jordan, where are the origins? Where and by whom, through whom, do the origins come from? What's the real start of this? And the quote that I got out of this was, he's going to tell you, basically, if Mueller can't get to the bottom of this and answers this for the American people, then you have to ask the logical question, which is, what was the point of it all?
Well, what I'm going to be looking for is there's 3 specific areas where I think there was some type of setup involved. So the first is involved with General Flynn. General Flynn was supposedly entrapped, was meeting with a Russian woman. I want to know what really happened there, because we're just now finding out about this, and we need a lot more information on what really was General Flynn doing, because it's a big deal if somebody within our intelligence agencies were accusing a 3-star general of having some type of Russian fling. It's serious stuff, and I want to get to the bottom of that. The second big question you have is Joseph Mifsud. Joseph Mifsud is how this whole investigation started. And let me tell you, Mueller describes him as some type of Russian asset of some kind. Well, if Joseph Mifsud was a Russian asset, we've got big problems with our British and Italian allies, because he seems to be pictured with every British and Italian person that we know of. So that's something we also want to know about. And Mifsud was the guy who set up Papadopoulos. Finally, the third issue I'm going to know about is this infamous Trump Tower meeting. When you hear the Democrats talk about that there's evidence in plain sight.
Endless
Well,
blah,
the Russians
blah, blah,
that are involved
blah,
in the
blah.
Trump Tower, the infamous Trump Tower meeting in New York, I call them the Fusion GPS Russians. Fusion GPS was the company that was working for the Clinton campaign and the Democrats, and somehow Glenn Simpson meets with them before and after, and he's actually, these are Russians that he's doing work for. I mean, come on. If Mueller can't get to the bottom of this and answer this for the American people, I don't know what the report was really worth.
But the question is this, or the observation should be this: the longer it goes on, the more, folks, aren't we finding out that everything that the Democrats, leftists, and American media maggots are saying is incorrect? It's like playing high-lie with that funny little round curved thing, and you grab it and you throw the ball and it comes back to you, or you throw the boomerang. The boomerang's gone out already. Now it appears the boomerang is coming back, and what we're finding more and more with each week and each day is that the people truly responsible for any form of Russian collusion are the Democrats themselves. Proven time and time again. Somehow, this, and I guess this could be a happy story, or a portion of a happy story, but I wanted to play this audio cut because this is what Democrats think is a winning agenda to bring more people, by more people, I don't know, do they mean folks like you and me, folks in the flyover states? But this is the agenda that they believe is winning, and it's going to kick the butt out of Trump or whatever other person. God, I hope it's not a Mitt or a Jeb or some loser like that. This is what they think is a winning hand. This is Kamala Harris.
Because there are people in Washington, D.C., supposed leaders, who have failed to have the courage to reject a false choice, which suggests you're either in favor of the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away.
That is true. Democrats want Australia, and they want it here. Eric Swalwell has already said that.
Supposed leaders in Washington, D.C., who have failed to have the courage to recognize, you know what, you want to go hunting, that's fine. But we need reasonable gun safety laws in this country, starting with universal background checks and a renewal of the assault weapon ban.
Okay, stop. This is an attorney. This is someone who is educated but has learned nothing. And more, I'm convinced that there might be 3, if that, persons in all of D.C. who have ever fucking read the Constitution of the United States of America, or have even fucking opened up the little book that I have over here about the Bill of Rights. What is it about the First Amendment you don't understand? What is it about the Second or the Fourth or the 10th that you don't understand? Have any of these dolts read the Federalist Papers or the Anti-Federalist Papers, they think that what they say, as it spews whatever trash or propaganda spews out of their mouth, they think that you and all of their sycophants they're stupid enough to believe all this pap.
But they have failed to have the courage to act. So, Ben, here's my response to you. Upon being elected, I will give the United States Congress 100 days to get their act together and have the courage to pass reasonable gun safety laws. And if they fail to do it, then I will take executive action. And specifically what I will do is put in place a requirement
Listen to this.
that for anyone who sells more than 5 guns a year, they are required to do background checks when they sell those guns. I will require that for any gun dealer that breaks the law, the ATF take their license. And by the way, ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Well, the ATF has been doing a lot of the A and the T, but not much of the F.
You stupid bint. It's BATFE. You don't even fucking know what the acronym is. You don't know the agency, and apparently you don't know what it does.
And we need to fix that. And then
yeah, you know how that went. Kamala Harris, come to my house and try to confiscate a weapon. Folks, I don't think I'm saying anything outrageous. Eric Swalwell, Kamala Harris, any other of the leftists or the Democrats that are involved in any of this foolishness, be very, very careful. This is how you start a civil war. If you want a civil war, you go ahead and do that. If you leave people alone, things will be okay. But once you start making any kind of an active effort to do any of the things that you're suggesting, Kamala, it won't go well for you. I'm just telling you that. Jack Alexander makes an excellent point in chat where he says, there is more gun violence in Australia now than there was before the 96 gun ban. Look at all the violence in Europe. I've spoken to people from Europe, and I've said this before, who have said, my God, we want something similar to what you guys have. We'd love to have something similar to a Second Amendment, but we can't. We don't have it. Okay. Let me do this. I've got so many other audio cuts. I'm going to have to save them for Thursday because I want to go into the articles that I told you that I would talk about right now. This just came out today. This is an article. The headline says, FBI admits Hillary Clinton emails found in Obama White House in the executive office of the president. Now, did you see or do you think you will hear anything about this being said or printed top of the fold front page of the New York, LA Times, or any major urban rat cage extant? Any newspaper will carry this. No. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. Did you hear this today? No. Well, let's go into this article because I have more where this came from, and I've only got about 10 minutes to go to it. Let me tell you another thing. I put my money where my mouth is. Yeah, I've got a radio show. Yeah, I'm in my 7th decade. I'm still hanging around. Martha, it could be the big one tomorrow, but I don't really give a rip because I'm having fun doing this right now and having people know and understand what's really happening around them in the United States. What I do, however, because I can't go out and pass pamphlets and blah, blah, what have you been doing for the conservative movement, BZ? Okay, for those who say that, you can take a big cup of shut the fuck up because I put my cash very selectively. I have put lots of cash very selectively One of the places I've put my cash is Judicial Watch and the ACLJ, two of the biggest people that I contribute to. I don't give to the RNC anymore. Fuck them. I target my cash. One of them is Judicial Watch. And I say that because conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch announced today, Tuesday, that Bill Priestap, assistant director of the FBI Counterintelligence Division, admitted in writing and under oath that the FBI found Hillary Clinton's emails in the Obama White House, specifically the executive office of the president. Did you hear that today? No, you didn't. The FBI also admitted that almost 49,000 Hillary Clinton emails were reviewed as a result of a search warrant for emails found on Anthony Weiner's laptop. Did you hear that today? Thanks to Judicial Watch, in January, a federal court ordered discovery on Hillary Clinton's emails and Benghazi scandal. Judge Roy Lamberth ordered top Obama and Hillary officials such as Susan Rice, Ben Rhodes, and other state and FBI officials to answer Judicial Watch's questions under oath. If you've ever heard of Tom Fitton, let's talk. Or excuse me, we're not going to talk to Tom Fitton. Let's let Tom Fitton do some talking to us.
Hi, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton here with breaking news on the Clinton email scandal. If you want to know why Hillary Clinton has skated thus far on her email misconduct, it's because Barack Obama is implicated in the Clinton email scheme.
Stop. I went into 2 hours of that about 2 months ago, giving you all the linkages, because we know already the reason there is so much confusion, obstruction, and obfuscation is because we already know, you and I, people who are right-thinking individuals, that this shit goes straight to the top.
The FBI just admitted to us that it had to find Clinton emails in Barack Obama's White House, specifically the executive office of the president. The FBI also confirmed it found up to 49,000 Clinton server emails on the laptop of disgraced former Congressman Anthony Weiner. These disclosures were forced out of the FBI as a result of court-ordered discovery granted to Judicial Watch into the Clinton email issue. Once again, it's Judicial Watch doing the heavy lifting to hold Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama accountable to the rule of law.
Why should it be Judicial Watch's job to do that? Why aren't there certain individuals in the government whose job is to do that? We're finding them. Bit by bit. Like I say, this shit is turning around. But it's like a massive oil tanker. You're not going to stop it in a mile. You're not going to stop it in 2 miles or 3 miles. You may eventually stop it, but it's really, really damn slow. Here's another article that you didn't hear about today. This just occurred yesterday. Rand Paul was right. Bob Woodward, of all people, says former CIA chief John Brennan included the junk Steele dossier in an official CIA brief. Senator Rand Paul announced in March that, according to a high-level source, former CIA chief John Communist Brennan insisted Hillary's fake Russian dossier be included in the intelligence report. Brennan previously denied that the fake dossier was used in the intelligence community's assessment of Russian interference in the 2016 election. John Communist Brennan once again lying. There's plenty of evidence to the contrary, and on Wednesday, Senator Rand Paul said Brennan should be asked to testify under oath in Congress ASAP. Nice thought, but unless you hold their feet to the fire, that's just not basically going to come. Here's another article. This is from The Federalist. This is Molly Hemingway. I have a great respect for Molly Hemingway. New York Times reveals FBI retaliated against Trump for Comey firing. But wait. Weren't we told by James Comey himself and every motherfucker in the FBI, and I used to work for the FBI and still know some people there, And I should say those people on the 7th floor of the FBI, certainly not all the line-level agents. Everyone was telling us these agencies are apolitical and unbiased. One word. Bullshit. A Friday expose from the New York Times reveals the FBI investigation of Trump for alleged treason was little more than retaliation against the president for lawfully firing an incompetent and ethically challenged FBI director. I knew that James Comey lied about what he was doing with Hillary Clinton when he said that he couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. Number one, that's not your job, Jimmy the Leak. Comey, Jimmy the Leak, that's not your job to prove things beyond a reasonable doubt. And then he said that he could not prove specific intent. There are crimes of two types of intent: specific intent and general intent. I happen to know this because I spent 41 years in law enforcement. Crimes of specific intent are crimes that somewhere in a statute they say, obviously, with the intent to, ... fill in the blank. The crimes of which Hillary Clinton were charged under the various and there were a number of USC codes applicable, they were crimes of general intent and not specific intent. And because of that, immediately that day, I think it was in June, when Jimmy the Leak Comey lied to me, lied to my face because he thought everyone else was stupid and didn't know what he was saying, I knew he would continue to lie because, after all, it's all about Jim Comey. Admitting there is no actual evidence for their probe into whether Trump worked for the Russians, FBI officials instead cited their foreign policy differences with him, his lawful firing of bungling FBI lying, also I should throw in, Director James Jimmy the Leak Comey, and alarm that he accurately revealed to the American public that he was told he wasn't under investigation by the FBI when they preferred to hide that fact. So what are we finding out? There are more stories that I can go into. I just don't have the time. I hope that I'll be able to get to this on Thursday. But with each passing day, week, and month, what are we discovering? Russian collusion was truly on the part of leftists and Democrats. And we're discovering where this is all leading, i.e., up to the Oval Office, President 44. And all of these people, they can hear footsteps because all they have now are lies and corruption. And they will obfuscate with more lies and more corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for tuning in to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here from the SHR Media studios, where I am broadcasting behind enemy lines. You know what? If you want to contact me, you can find me on Twitter at BZEP, at BZEP, and my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. Thanks to Redcon One Media and Big Sarge for simulcasting my show. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Corporation and the Boeing Company. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And to Pratt & Whitney Engines. Thrust, you can trust. Also thanks to the Allahu Snack Bar, a little bit of Muhammad in every bite. Tiaras are by My Little Pony. And of course, thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team with whom I will be consorting in less than an hour. Thanks to Jeff DUNETZ for being here. Thanks for listening, to you for listening live. Thanks for being in chat. Chat show tomorrow night. God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet.
quiet down now and get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children.
Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Jim Bob.
Good night, and good luck.